What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Chris, aka the Capital Connect, and in today's video we're gonna be going over why I believe that supply and demand is the easiest strategy that you can use to grow your trading account. We're gonna be going over all of it today, so make sure you stay plugged in, man. This is gonna be a good one. So like I said, man, supply and demand is really one of the easiest strategies that you can learn, simply because that there's really only two things you need to be looking out for. Number one, is there a breakup structure, right? Number two, is there a fair value gap attached to your zone, right? So right here, we can see that we have a demand. Matter of fact, let me go over fair value gaps real quick. I don't want to assume that you guys just know what they are. So first things first, fair value gap is a 3-candle sequence. Like, let's just assume that these are candles. These are very bad and crooked candles, but let's just assume they're candles nonetheless. All right, it's a 3-candle sequence. For what we have right here is a bullish fair value gap example. So a bullish fair value gap is when the high of the first candle and the low of the third candle do not overlap or touch, right? That is what we call a fair value gap, right? That is a bullish example. A bearish example will be the flip side of that. So it would be when the low of candle 1 does not overlap or touch with the high of candle 3. All right. Now, when it comes to how do you draw these zones, when it comes to a demand, we're looking for aggressive buying coming out of an area with a gap attached to it that breaks structure, right? When it comes to drawing your zone, it's going to be the last bearish candle before the explosive move to the upside. So we can see in this example from the day, matter of fact, let me go replay mode. So in this example from the day, I did not take this trade, by the way, but I saw it and I was like, this is a perfect example. All right, so we can see, boom, you get an explosive move to the upside. Now, there is a gap attached to this zone, right? You're gonna mark off, like I said, the last bearish candle before the explosive move to the upside. There's a gap attached to this zone. There's a gap attached to that candle, right? Even though it's a very small gap, let me mark it up. Even though it's a very small gap, it's a gap nonetheless, right? It doesn't matter how big the gap is. All that matters is if it's there. So there's a gap left behind. We broke multiple structures to the upside, right? Boom, broke that high, then we broke this high as well. So all we're gonna be waiting for is for price to get back to our zone, and we're gonna be looking to enter. Now, if you're like me, right, or if you want to trade it like how I trade it, I enter basically as soon as it enters into my zone. So once it comes back into my zone, I'm hitting buy, right? I'm hitting buy. Now, that's considered a more aggressive entry because I'm not waiting for any confirmation at the zone. I'm not waiting for anything to enter the trade. I'm just entering as soon as it enters the zone. And then my TP is always going to be the recent high for demand and the recent low for supply. So in this case, you know, the target would have been about 32 pips. And as we can see, man, if I play this out, the rest is history. And the beautiful thing about supply and demand is that you can go with the trend, but it also works counter trend, right? You don't have to always go with the trend. But I definitely don't want to just show you guys one example. I'm gonna show you guys multiple examples. So let's go ahead and get into the next example. All right, so the next example is on NAS 100. Let me go ahead and do me a replay mode once again. We got NAS. This is from this morning again in London session. Y'all know how I feel about London session. I already made a video about that. So if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and watch it. Y'all know London session be cooking up with the setups, right? So here we go. We got aggressive buying coming out of this area, breaking structure, right? We broke this high. We broke that high. Okay, so we got aggressive buying coming out of the area that has a breaker structure and a gap attached to it. Again, the gap is very small. However, the gap is still there. So all I'm doing again is waiting for price to get back to my area, and I'm entering. Simple as that. Now, I didn't take this setup. I took US 30, which is probably what I should be showing you. I'll probably show you that next. But I took US 30, and anyways, man, it's the same rules. Same thing applies, bro. Just wait for it to get back into your zone. Boom, it enters your zone. You're already in there. And targeting the recent high, man, you would have been targeting this, or you could have been targeting, you know, Asia high, right? And again, rest is history, bro. Like, supply and demand is just really very, very, very simple. But that's two bullish examples. Let me go ahead and get into some bearish examples after I show the US 30 trade that I took this morning. Now, US 30 is the same thing as, well, the setup on US 30 is the same thing as the NAS 100 setup. Now, when it comes to this setup in particular, I did not enter right at the zone because I honestly kind of saw it a little bit late. So I entered as it was leaving the zone. So I entered right around here where the entry shows on TradingView. My stop loss went underneath the candle because honestly, a 40 pip stop loss, a 40 point stop loss, I was like, absolutely not, I'm not doing that. So I had it underneath the candle that entered the zone, and the rest was history. I targeted, Asia high, and very simple, very quick 50 point, move that we caught all from supply and demand. And honestly, this was counter trend, low key. But like I said earlier, right, counter trend doesn't really matter when it comes to supply and demand as long as you have a breaker structure, right? The main thing is that I need to have a breaker structure when it comes to these setups. If there's no breaker structure, I'm not entering the trade. But those are three bullish examples. Let me go ahead and give you guys some bearish examples and we can finish this video off. All right, so here we got NAS supply example, right? So we got aggressive selling coming out of this area. The gap is very obvious on this setup, right? The gap is from there to there. We got a breaker structure right here. We broke that low. So again, all we're doing is we waiting for it to come back into the zone. Stop loss goes right at the breach of that zone, and targeting the recent low. The rest would have been history, as you guys can see. Supply and demand really just be hitting, bro. But let me find you guys one more example and we'll go ahead and end this video. All right, so for our last and final example, it's on NAS once again. Let's go ahead and play this out a little bit. So as we can see, man, we got a gap from here to here. Now, when it comes to your supplies, like I said, you're going to want to mark off the last bullish candle before the impulsive move to the downside. So that's our last bullish candle. Now let's see if we get a breaker structure. Boom, we get our breaker structure, right? We broke this low here. So all we're going to be waiting on is for price to get back up into our zone and we're going to sell. Very simple. So let's go ahead and mark this off. Stop loss would have been 7 points, targeting the recent low. Let's see wherever that is. Okay, boom. Recent low is here. So we'd have been targeting 33 points, right? As we can see, man, let's play this out. Taps back into your zone beautifully. And the rest is history, bro. The rest is history. So supply and demand is really very simple, straightforward, to the point. I feel like anyone can learn it fairly quickly. That's why I feel like it's the easiest strategy to learn to grow your trading account. If you have a small trading account, a large trading account, whatever it is, especially on the 5 minute, if you're a scalper, this thing is just beautiful. But you can see supply and demand on the 1 hour, the 15 minute, the 4 hour, the daily. Supply and demand is literally all over the place. It really just kind of depends on, your trading style and how you like to trade. I'm a scalper, so I'm gonna stick to the 5 minute. But yeah, man, that's all I got for this video, man. I hope this video helps you guys out as far as choosing a strategy to, grow your trading account. Supply and demand, it's the truth, man. But that's all I got for today. I'm gone.